All right, well, my clock on my iPad says 6:30, so and I see we have a quorum, so I will call the meeting of the City Council, City of Hillsboro to order. The first item we have up for business, we've already taken care of. Brent, sorry, we already elected you. Should have been here earlier.
I see. I don't think that was proper without the
No.
meeting in order.
No, you're right. So the first item is election of council president, and at this point, I guess I would accept nominations for council president.
You want to do it again, or you want Blake to do it?
I see what you did there, Barney.
Nominate Brent.
I'll nominate. He's done a
Brent?
good job.
You accept the nomination?
Yes.
Okay, are there any further nominations? Hearing none, I'd accept a motion to elect Brent Driggers as council president for the year 2023.
I'll move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Congratulations and appreciate your service in that way.
Yes, thank you.
Next up is approval of our consent agenda. Did everyone receive copies of the vouchers totaling $444,948.71? Were there any questions regarding the vouchers? Everyone received copies of the minutes from our 1/3/2023 meeting. Were there any questions, corrections regarding the minutes? And we have an appointment of Mr. David Edgar. This is a reappointment to the Recreation Commission. Any questions regarding that reappointment? Hearing none, I'd accept a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
I'll make that motion.
Councilman McCarty moves, Councilman By seconds. Any further discussion? Oh, Councilman Lowen, pardon me. I wasn't looking up. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We're now into our first opportunity for public comment. And looks like we may have somebody from the public online. And also we have members of the public in the room. Is there anybody, before we get to Ms. Gehring's request, is there anybody that would like to address the council? Okay. Well, we have Ms. Kathy Gehring of Kathy's Floral and Design here to talk to us about designated loading spot. Come up and take the stand. We're not going to swear you in or anything.
That's good. All right. Yeah, as Lou Thurston said, thank you, Lou. I'm Kathy Gehring. I have the flower shop on Grand Street, Kathy's Floral Designs. I actually had my parents came along too, Charles and Nora Gehring. They helped me a lot at the shop. So I asked, if there's something I missed that they help fill in some areas. Yeah, so why I'm here. Normally speaking, businesses that have a delivery service have a back door where they can pull up and load all of their product into their vehicle and park back there. I unfortunately don't have that for my business. And you may have noticed the parking situation's really gotten scarce in front of my shop. All of East Grand is filling up quite a bit. And as I wrote y'all a piece of paper of the problems I'm facing here with this, very detailed. And like I said, when I wrote that in like a month or so, I had only found parking in front of my shop like a few times. And that's posing a lot of issues. We do deliveries for everyday arrangements, for funerals, for weddings, events. And those require, like the funerals and weddings and events, I can find a spot. I'm having to go back. I mean, that's going back and forth then for those type of things. And actually, as I even said in the paper, that I recently was didn't even find a parking spot in front of the bank. I had to park in front of the city building. And so that's even more of a distance for walking to load up my car. And who knows if that's even filled up. I mean, I'm not guaranteed a spot at either of those places. What's next? Am I going to be, walking 2 blocks to fill up my car? So it really is an issue. And some of the problems, just kind of a refresher. I talked about like heavy arrangements. Some of those arrangements, I actually have to get help from another person because it's too much for one person to actually take. And waiting for cars. If I'm going across the street and I'm having to wait for cars, that's really inconvenient. And it looks very unprofessional for my business. I talked about wind. I have to wrap my arrangements in freezing temperature in plastic bags. And the wind blows those bags everywhere. And it does block my vision. Even large arrangements block my vision. I just took a funeral arrangement recently. That was a huge rose arrangement, and just walking, I actually had a parking spot that time for that funeral in front of my shop. So, but just even walking that distance is blocking my vision. If I have to walk across the street like that, that's actually dangerous. And I believe it poses a danger really to oncoming cars and to myself, especially when the weather's bad. I still deliver when it's snowing and when it's icy, and I could slip and I could fall, and there can be broken glass then on the road, and it actually is dangerous, but for myself and those who help me deliver and to the oncoming cars. And then as well, like I feel that businesses in a town really reflect the town itself. And I feel that the unprofessionalism of going across the street, it actually is kind of a reflection even of how Hillsboro looks. And so I believe that really it's not efficient for my customers at all. So what I believe the solution is what I would like is a designated parking spot in front of my shop where that has my name on it, that I can park 24/7 for deliveries. And that it can be enforced. So if somebody were to park there, I can actually call in and they would have to move. So that's really what, as a summary of what my paper wrote, is what I have to say. I guess if you have any questions, and for me, I'd be happy to answer anything.
Are there any questions for Ms. Geary?
I guess my my only question would be for you, Matt, like what direction would the city council have to do?
So,
Would it be like an ordinance deal or?
yeah, I would actually defer to Andrew about what kind of action.
I don't know that you would need any particularly formal. I mean, traffic control is sort of within the general police powers of the city. So I don't think you'd have to have necessarily an ordinance to set up control of parking, public parking and traffic.
So I think the issue that you run into is if I understand Kathy's predicament there, because that is the only section of downtown business that doesn't have access from the rear. But I think if you were to say we're going to have a designated spot, you may run into some trouble because everybody else is going to come in and want a designated spot. But what I think the solution could be would be to designate a loading and unloading zone. And I think that could be something that you can enforce a lot easier too.
So it doesn't have her name on it, but it's loading and unloading towards the front of her shop. So who else would load
Right.
and unload that?
So like this, this is Kathy's shop's right here. We have a handicap stall right here right now, and then we have what I would call no man's land, kind of right here. This area I think could work as if you were to section it off and paint it as a loading and unloading zone. You could avoid people parking there, and then you could have, it's not quite in front of the shop, but it is much closer than running across the street. And it's kind of like I say, vacant now. I did see somebody parking there. Marlene Richards was parking there this morning because I went and talked to her. So yeah, I think what I would suggest doing is painting this off as a loading and unloading zone because we actually have classifications in the traffic ordinance to do that. So then you could, basically, when you have something, you can load in and out. When you have people come, you could load in and out. It would prevent people from parking there and basically give you that spot on a more permanent basis, but it wouldn't be necessarily designated as your spot. So when you're not open, someone else could use it as a loading spot. I mean, there are 2 other businesses there, but I don't know if they receive a lot of in and out kind of traffic for loading. That would be my suggestion. You could designate a loading and unloading spot somewhere down in here, like further down. If you wanted to go right in front, you could do that. I just think that creates a little bit of an issue with, breaking up the parking a little bit. I think keeping it toward an end would probably make the most sense logically. You could also scooch some of these parking spots too, take some paint, but they look like they need to be repainted anyway. So if we needed to make a little bit more room there, we could. That would be my suggestion. But you as a council, you would have the freedom to kind of designate whatever space you wanted to.
The only question I have with that would be that you've got a handicap parking right there.
Mhm.
And if they have a lift on the side of their vehicle, they would need that space to the right.
Mhm.
I think where the white car is would create less of an issue.
It wouldn't break up your parking quite as much. It'd be
No.
loading and unloading and handicapped.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's right, it was at what, right in front, that's right in front of your store, isn't it, Kathy?
No,
No?
That's
Not
not
quite
Oh,
Exactly directly would be the second.
oh, okay, okay.
right here.
Handicap, yeah.
It would be, yeah.
Would
That's
the,
a green
would the
door right
white,
there.
where the white car is, would that be sufficient? I mean, for your
I would rather
side?
have it than the one that's in that
Corner end.
corner, because for one thing, I leave my hatch open when I'm going in and out, and I feel like that's gonna be odd with the cars making
okay.
turns. And the other thing is I like to have my car in like so I can see through the window and stuff when I'm going in, because sometimes customers actually do come in my shop after I'm taking an arrangement and I need to go back in.
Sure.
And then I can keep an eye on my car because I'm leaving the hatch open usually when I'm going in and out.
Right. Well, and with the loading zone, you could back into it too, so that would be.
Well, that was too, I was
Helpful.
thinking could be a hard backing into.
Yeah, it might be a little bit tougher if you
That
had.
spot there.
is it possible to move that handicap spot just a little bit, shift it to the west?
I don't think so.
West, back toward,
Like towards
Yeah.
the
back
crosswalk?
toward Grand. Yeah, you could.
Because the people that are gonna use that crosswalk, where they're going to what, rhubarb?
Yeah, or they may be going down to the beauty shop or,
Where-
The
the
bank.
clinic or the bank, one of
Yeah.
those two.
So
But that wouldn't be yeah.
my thought was that would, if you moved that handicap spot over a little bit, that would make that a wider spot for the loading and unloading zone, wider than just a parking spot.
And you're saying the loading zone would be where then?
Well, where that white
White
car is, but
It would be wider,
it'd be wider than that.
because
Okay.
this would shift
I
over
see what
further.
you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And then you wouldn't have to paint all the lines. You'd just be repainting.
You're
pretty
just
much
paying the
two
handicap zone.
No unloading.
Yeah, that would.
How would
work.
you designate that with just a sign or would that? involve
No,
some
you'd put
paint
yellow paint, cross stripes
on the-
Yeah, that
on
would,
the ground.
That would
Kind
prevent.
of sign, which, yeah.
Yeah.
You probably want to sign, at least in the
Yes.
short term, to get
And,
people to
you know,
learn it.
I'm, I asked Matt about this beforehand, but I'm guessing that you're not gonna have somebody there putting any kind of timer on you when your vehicle's in the loading and unloading zone.
Is that-
Yeah, as far as enforcement goes, we'd have a lot of latitude on how that got enforced, but yeah.
Yeah, that actually brings up a question for me. So is that not a spot that I could actually stay then the whole time? Because-
In that situation, it would not be technically.
Okay, because I find that honestly an issue because I don't feel that I have time to just run out to my car wherever it is then and then make a loop every time I need to park there. Because I might even I've had this before where I have a funeral and then all of a sudden I'll get a couple last minute ones and I'm in a hurry and they're gonna get going. So I run those down, but, so that to me,
Well, do you understand what this is gonna create for us in terms of trouble? I mean, I understand your position and we're trying to help. We really are, and we want to help. But you know, we can't have every merchant in downtown Hillsboro demanding a private parking spot, even though arguably, again, and we can make that argument to these,
Yeah.
to anybody that wants to bring it up, that you don't have a loading and unloading zone in the rear of your property. And so that absolutely makes you different than
Well, I think that would
everybody
trump any
else.
other argument, wouldn't it? She has no other place to unload from, so I would think that's a no-brainer
I think
for
so.
me. I don't know.
Well, you know, again, I understand where Matt's coming from, you know, and I understand where you're coming from, and we're trying to see if there's a way we can create a compromise, but I'm not hearing from you that there's much compromise in I'm just saying, I'm not being negative about it.
sure.
Just, it doesn't sound like that compromise is acceptable,
Well,
and, you know, in
I think
terms of how you operate your
It's
business.
really, yeah, the first, I mean, I've never even really even thought of it as something, I mean, this is new to me.
Sure.
Hearing, I guess, you know, I've thought about how our other business is similar at all, and I've really come to the conclusion that I couldn't think of anybody who didn't have a back door, who make daily deliveries, who are walking across the street to load their vehicle. I couldn't think of anybody in Hillsborough who has that kind of a similar situation. So I really feel that mine's different.
Okay.
And so that's really,
You know, at this point, I guess it's up to the council, to somebody
Sure.
to, you know, we can take it under advisement and bring it back up at our next meeting if you're not ready to, if you don't think we're ready to make a decision, or we can make a decision now.
I mean, from somebody who works I work at a Ford dealership, so we have unloading and unloading from behind our dealership. I get 100% how that's beneficial. And if you don't have that, your business, I mean, it's really tough to do. So I think if she wants to have a designated parking spot right in front of her shop, I think I'll make a motion to approve that.
Okay.
Are you saying right in front, or are you saying where the white car is?
I'm saying where the maroon vehicle is right in front of her shop.
And they're talking about
You're talking
making
about.
it for loading and unloading
Loading.
too, right?
No,
I
he's
just-
talking about
he's
that
talking
being
about
her
designated
parking spot.
For Kathy's.
Just their own spot.
I drive by this every day when I go to work,
Mhm.
and Rhubarb Market, and nothing against them, I'm glad that they do. But they take up all the parking along there. I can understand how that can be frustrating for your business when you're unloading and unloading, you need to get out and go. That, I mean, it makes sense.
But I don't think we're talking about in his,
No,
in
I'm
his
talking
motion.
a-
We're talking about a designated.
designated.
She uses the same vehicle for
Yeah.
transportation,
Right.
loading and unloading, you know, I don't have a problem with that either.
So I'll make them.
We have a motion.
Yeah,
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a
We'll deal
motion
with
and a
it when it
second.
Comes up with other people.
All right.
I'll
And now it's,
bring it up too.
okay, we have a motion to create a designated parking spot immediately in front of her front door of her business. And we have a second. And now is the opportunity for any further discussion on this matter.
So how much of a problem are you anticipating from enforcement?
That I don't know. I'm not sure how we would mark it.
I would have to have her flower shop name on the curb or something.
Yeah. we'd
Well,
have to
I'm
do-
actually thinking more of a sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have a sign
We're
for
gonna have to put
sure.
a sign up.
I honestly can't answer that question,
Mhm.
Brent. I don't know what it's gonna be like,
And,
but
you know, in terms of how you would attach it, I think you're gonna have to screw it into the concrete.
yeah.
You have to have a flat base, screw the post into the concrete, and then put a sign that says parking for Kathy's Floral only.
Mhm.
Or, you know, it's,
Something to that
you may
effect.
have to say not customer parking
Mhm.
too. I mean,
That's
you
where
know,
it's gonna get interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
because you may have customers.
I don't
that
know what,
think they're-
we'll have to figure out what.
Maybe
it
your
says.
business, they may, it's empty, they may feel like they can park there.
Not to make it more complicated, but if for compromise purposes, would that be something that you would be willing to help foot the bill for, so the city doesn't have to?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So
If
is
that
that,
helps
are you
you at all.
including
That's
that in
fine.
your motion?
If we want to do that, then yeah, I'm just thinking out
You
loud.
have to amend your motion.
I'll make a motion for that.
Okay, so the motion is to create a designated parking spot directly in front of Kathy's Floral and Design. And Kathy's Floral and Design will help defray the cost of the signage.
I'll make that.
The
motion.
city will pay for labor.
But Kathy,
Yeah.
you want it to have your name on it, right? Not just Kathy's.
Yeah,
Design.
he mentioned that
Yeah.
too. It's saying no customer parking.
We'll have to talk through.
We'll have to figure out what.
We'll have to
it's
figure out
gonna
what
say.
it says. We'll work together
Yeah.
with you on that.
Awesome.
But it needs to be spelled right too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was gonna, yeah.
there will be like a graphic that will be created and she'll have to sign off and approve it. So
Graphic.
Can we take
Got
a
a
picture?
logo or a,
That's right, just a giant
you have
picture.
like a logo or a,
Well, I'm actually in the process of actually having a name change, so I think
Okay.
that's something I'm gonna need to discuss with you.
that's
Okay.
fine. Yeah,
yeah,
For sure.
take care
Have
of
a
it.
photograph.
Right.
And I'm getting over.
That's what I said, yeah.
Use that then.
Like a sign like that with a photograph on there.
okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
You're-
Appreciate it.
You're welcome,
Thank you so
Deb.
much.
Welcome.
Wow.
I'm sure we'll hear about this.
Bring it on. They can have my phone number.
I can see where she would need. it.
Well, you know, she basically had me at safety, you know, and so,
Hit the right button there.
yeah, I mean, you know, I get that. I mean, you know, and I probably wasn't as swayed by the downtown appearance, but definitely understand the need for safety and for, you know, operating your business. Your business is important to Hillsboro.
And when I first read it, what I was happy about is we had a parking problem.
Right.
There's business
On Main
down-
Street.
Right, it's downstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we need a flower shop, so.
Well, Kathy, thank you for bringing this to our attention, and I'm
Yeah.
glad that we
I
could
appreciate.
come
y'all
up with a
having-
solution.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
So is there any, we'll give one last opportunity here for public comment. I don't hear any. Okay. We'll now move into our business items. The first item up is ordinance 1362 regarding electric rates, rate classes, and parallel generation standards. Mr. Stiles.
Thank you, sir. This is basically what we talked about at our last meeting on the 3rd. This is option 1 as it was presented, so it's a 1 cent increase at one time. Also includes the change in base fees, so everything right now is $12.10. Would increase the fee to $14.50 for residential and internal city accounts, and then the commercial base charge would go up to $17 a month. So it's everything in there as we talked to the residential outside customers. There is a little kind of a unique bit to that. They have a 4,000 kilowatt hour kind of threshold, and once they get over that, the price increases. We just kept the same level of price increase that we currently have, and we added it onto the new thing. So anything over 4,000 kilowatt hours is 14.5 cents for residential customers outside of the city. Temporary services remain unchanged. Those are tied to the base rates or the regular rates anyway. So a couple things we did address, which we sort of briefly mentioned last time, was we did change a few things within the ordinance to clean some stuff up. So 15-203, there's a practice that we have when we have a commercial or industrial customer that if they come in and require a say a transformer or something that's beyond what our normal service is, for years and years we've always included that into the cost of their building permit. So what this language does is kind of codify that practice because it wasn't exactly clear what was in there. So we made that a lot clearer. And then KPP gave us some advice on the language on parallel generation facilities. This basically just codifies our current interconnection standards. Part of that is there's a $500 fee if you want to have solar panels and you want to interconnect them to the city. There's a $500 fee for that. So I want to make sure that that all is increased or that all is reflected in the ordinance as well. So We talked about the financial impact already as far as how that looks for the city on a regular customer basis. It's about a 7.5% or 7.7% increase on utility bills. If approved, this would take place and would start appearing on customers' bills in March. So the first part of March. So we're recommending adoption of ordinance 1362.
Any questions? Hearing none, I'd accept a motion to adopt ordinance 1362 regarding electric rates, rate classes, and parallel generation standards.
So moved.
Councilman Driggers moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman By seconds. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll poll the council. Councilman By,
Yes.
Councilman McCarty,
Yes.
Councilman Lowen,
Yes.
Councilman Driggers.
Yes.
Ordinance 1362 is hereby adopted and the mayor will sign. Next item is resolution 2023-01, which is our annual waiving of gap standards for our annual audit. Mr. Stiles.
Thank you, sir. So the good news is the auditors are going to be in here earlier this year. They're coming in February, which is great. We normally have had them a lot later in the year. So we got early on the calendar, which is good for budget preparation. But what that does is we have to move up our gap waiver, which is we have to request this annually. Well, we do it annually. It's request of Adams and Brown, who is our city auditors, because we use a modified accrual method of accounting, which is a little bit different than accrual and it's different than cash basis. It's a modification. It's a combination of both. So we have to do this. It's a safeguard on public money in case you're wondering why we do that. And it's important that we ensure that we are good stewards with our money and we don't overspend accidentally. So that's why we do modified accrual accounting. This resolution adopts or exempts us out from that generally accepted accounting principles. And we did have a correction on it last year. JT provided a correction on that. The statute was incorrect in the original motion. We've corrected it this year. So this is a correct and accurate as far as we can tell. So 2000, we're recommending adoption of resolution 2023-01.
Any questions? Comments? Hearing none, I'd accept a motion to approve resolution 2023-01.
Second, I'll second it.
Okay, so Councilman Lowen moves and Councilman McCarty seconds. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll poll the council. Councilman By,
Yes.
Councilman McCarty,
Yes.
Councilman Lowen,
Yes.
Councilman Driggers.
Yes.
Resolution 2023-01 is hereby approved. Next item is an MOU with the Hillsboro Senior Center. Mr. Stiles.
Thank you, sir. So what you have before you is a memorandum of understanding with the Senior Center, which actually operates as the Hillsboro Golden Years Club, Inc. So we met with them. We talked, Betty Seibel came in here. She's the chair. We talked about that. We kind of have a general understanding of $10,000 was where the city wanted to be with that. We worked with the board and we looked at their financials and their service statistics. One of the things that really took me by surprise, I guess, was that they serve over 20,000 meals every year, which is amazing to me. That's quite a bit. So we're real happy. I was shocked, honestly, to find that out. I didn't think it was quite that high. So the meals are kind of a vital, important community function. I think they're really in line with our community development goals and our strategic plan. And then that's on top of the other stuff that they do. So they do programming, they have regular meetings. It's a good socialization place for seniors to come. So the meat of the agreement is it's a 1-year deal, but it automatically renews unless one of the parties acts on it. It is subject to annual appropriations. So if we decide not to appropriate to them during the budget cycle, then they wouldn't continue to get the funding. We broke the payment into two. So the first payment being upon approval, if approved, and the second payment being in after July 1st. So it kind of splits that up. We have a 30-day termination notice. So if anybody wants to terminate that, we can do that. We also put in there a prorated return of funds. If the city terminates that, we can request that money back on a prorated basis. So if there's any funds still left in that. We also put in there that if they wanted any technical assistance with finding outside money, we'd be happy to help them do that. And at their request, we can provide programming through our museums or rec department, that kind of stuff as well. So we're assuming that they're fine with that. They've agreed to those things. In exchange for the funding, they agree to continue providing the friendship meals, which I think is one of the important pieces of that. And then providing fun programming in the community. They're going to provide us with a quarterly report of activities. They do one for the state every month, so that should be fairly straightforward for them. And they're not subject to any audits. So we did ask for permission to look at their financials if that became an issue, or, we're not intending on doing that unless there is an issue, but they did agree to that as well. So the funds for this will come out of the general fund. We did put in there $34,000 for this year to do community development or community improvement projects. And those are typically those senior class projects. So we're just going to take 10,000 from that pot of money. So then if you're interested in moving forward with that, we would recommend you approve the agreement, the MOU with the Hillsboro Golden Years Club, Inc.
Any
My question, Matt, would
Yeah.
be, I get the now and July 1st. Was that
Mm-hmm.
how you would anticipate it being in future years also?
Yeah, I think so. That's how our tax payments come in. So
Mhm.
that's when our ad valorem
Okay.
payments come. So that just kind of makes sense for us.
Sounds good.
Any other questions? Comments?
Oh, I would say that they've already signed the agreement. Eddie already signed it.
I saw her name on it.
Yeah. So was not expecting. that.
Okay, hearing no comments or questions, I would accept a motion to approve the MOU with Hillsboro Golden Years Club, Inc.
I'll make that motion.
Councilman By moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Lowen seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We will move forward with that funding. Next item up is another MOU with Infinity Fitness. Mr. Style.
Thank you, sir. So Infinity Fitness has offered a corporate membership to our both our firefighters and our regular city employees. The kind of the perk of the corporate membership is there's a $10 per month deduction in the amount you pay to the fee. In order to do that, Ryan, the owner of Infinity Fitness, has a service agreement essentially that he requested us that we do. Of course, we looked at that and said that's probably not going to work for us as a municipality. So we developed this MOU, which basically outlines the terms similar to what he has in his, but meets our needs to allow for corporate memberships to happen. Excuse me. So that's what the MOU does technically. We also put in their policy 98, which is municipal policy number 98, where one of the parts that we would do is match the $10 corporate discount through our health insurance reserve fund. So that would give somebody $20 off of their monthly membership, which is about half for a single person. It's it's pretty good. It would be a pretty good deal. And what we did was we made a carve out for firefighters because they don't have by regular payroll deduction. They get paid twice a year. So then for them, if they wanted to do that, we would be doing like a reimbursement when we did their regular payroll. So we're guessing about 12 members, 12 people would take us up on this, which we feel, in city's insurance reserve would be about $1,400, a little over $1,400. Feel like it's a pretty decent investment if people want to go and make themselves more fit. I think we have a vested interest in that, as since we partially self-insure our own health insurance plan. We have an interest in them being healthier. So that was kind of part of the policy or part of the plan there. You can technically do one without the other. You could approve the MOU and then we can do the payroll deduction thing and kind of move forward with that. Or, if you wanted to add the other part to it, we could do that as well. So it's kind of a twofer. You have to do actions to do both those things if you wanted to do both. So that's right now our health insurance reserve fund has $112,386.36 in it. So it's well funded. We have the ability to do that if you would so want to do that.
Well, this will cost about $20 a month, is that right?
Oh, for an individual person? Yeah, if we were to with the corporate discount and the $10, the city matching that, it would be about $20 a month
Looking through there. That's what I
per
thought.
employee, yeah.
Yeah.
For a single person.
Yeah.
Now, if you go into getting a family membership or there's some other categories there, then it would be more. It would just depend.
So you're needing a motion to do the MOU and then also the payroll deal as well?
Policy 98,
Policy
yeah,
98.
if you wanted to do that.
Okay.
Is that clear?
Mhm.
Try to
Okay.
lay it up for you.
You know, I think that it's a great benefit, but it also, because the employee has skin in the game, it's not, oh yeah, I'll take it, and then they never use it. You know, so I
Right.
like that component of it. I mean, you know, we're partnering with the employees and of course, Infinity Fitness is partnering with us too on
Mhm.
the discount, so. Okay, any other questions, comments? Hearing none, I'd accept a motion to approve the MOU.
I'll make that motion.
Councilman By moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Trigger seconds. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, accept a motion then to adopt municipal policy 98 and authorize the mayor to sign.
So moved.
Councilman Triggers moves.
Do we need an effective date on that? Do we need an effective date,
As far as,
the policy?
no, it's
Okay, just
outlined in
making
there,
sure.
yeah.
Okay.
We'll be fine with that because there's timing. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Triggers. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Councilman McCarty seconds. Is there any further discussion? We can voice vote on this, right? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The municipal policy 98 is adopted and you'll sign it. Our next item up is Hillsboro Ford invoices totaling $55.31. Mr. Stiles.
Thank you, sir. So this is the monthly invoices we have from Ford. This is for an oil and filter change on the electric department for $55.31.
Any questions? Do I hear a motion to approve payment of to Hillsboro Ford of $55.31?
I'll move that, make that motion.
Councilman Lowen moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Triggers seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those abstaining,
Staying.
any opposition? Motion carries. We now have the, I guess this is the right order. The council's gonna approve the 2023 land bank budget, then we're gonna go into a land bank meeting. Mr. Stiles.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So
Take
it's a
us
little,
through this.
a little bit of a quirk to how the land bank works. The land bank that you sit as the board of as well cannot approve their annual budget unless the council does so first. It's just one of those weird quirks of it. So what you have there is the land bank budget for 2023. We have a starting fund balance in there of $852. The rental income that they would be receiving this year, which they didn't receive last year, was the farm income that we had. We moved those farm leases since the land bank is the titled owner. And then I had factored in $10,000 for property sale, which would be about 1 acre of property, which can be given the number of lots we have, it could be in any kind of combination, but I'm assuming that we're going to sell 1 acre this year. Hopefully we do. What you have in there, we have commodities, and typically what that is their publication requirements for the land bank. And so most of that money goes to publishing the any kind of, if we have a sale, there's any kind of the forms that have to go out in that, there's notifications that have to be published in that. And then we also have to publish the annual inventory of what the land bank has. So that's where most of that money goes. And then you'll notice we have a transfer out of 17,000. So what the land bank's function is, that basically, unless they're buying property and getting into that business, the city has the option to sweep that money back into the city coffers. So that's what would happen. That's what I'm assuming would happen here for that 18,000, which would leave the ending balance of $1,876.20 if everything goes according to budget in the land bank next year.
Any questions? Hearing none, I'd accept the motion to approve the 2023 land bank budget as submitted.
Make that motion.
Councilman McCarty moves. Is there a second? Councilman By seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And we will now recess into a land bank. To approve. And everybody received copies of the 2022 minutes. Any questions or corrections? Hearing none, I'd accept a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Motion.
Councilman By moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Trigger seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We will now move to approval of the 2023 land bank budget. So anybody regret their decision earlier? Hearing nobody with regrets, I'd accept a motion to approve the 2023 land bank budget.
I'll make that motion.
Councilman By moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Lowen seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And now we have a review of the land bank properties. Mr. Stiles.
Thank you, sir. So I'm also going to give you the annual report for 2022, which is requirement of the land bank. Last year, we had basically no revenue from 2022. The property we sold to Larry Smith, which we thought was in the land bank, was actually still titled to the city. So that didn't change anything. In 23, it talked about the farm income and the property sales. So those are kind of what we're expecting. 5 expenditures in land bank, 22, 3 of them to Hawk Publishing for legal notices, $702.70. There's also a land fee, Phil, of $66, which I need to make you aware of for the hospital. And then we did have to make a purchase of $6.29 from the hardware store to fix something at the hospital, which I don't remember what it is right now, but I could pull that if you're interested. So $774.99 in expenditures. So we have, and then the last bit there is the legal notice for all the property that is held by the land bank, which will go to the newspaper there. If you have any particular questions about any of the properties in there, it's all the first pieces are all Hillsboro Heights, which is the park out there by Dollar General and Rod's Tire and all that area over there that we still have. We do have some acreage. Some of those are out, out by the hospital. There's a section out by the hospital. We have property that's right by the street shop, kind of in between there. We have the property that's by Midway Motors, that whole section there, and part of that's in the TIF district, which is the business park stuff that's listed there. We also have the MPI building, which you can get. We have it listed at, I think, $2.5 million. So if anyone wants to buy it for $2.5 million, we'll make a deal today. We also have all the lots down in Willow Glen. There's 3 lots that are kind of infill lots that are in the first phase, and then most of these lots are recognized as the second phase, which has no infrastructure in it right now. And then we have the building right over here, which is the old post office. That's included in there as well. So that is a list of everything that we have in the land bank this year. If you have any questions about any of it, I'll be happy to answer that. And there doesn't need to be any, I don't think.
There's no action to be taken.
on it, yeah.
Any questions? Hearing none, we will adjourn the land bank meeting and move to city administrator's report. Mr. Stiles.
Okay. Sir, so the county conditional use permit, we had met at our our last meeting, in December, and talked about what the Marion County was looking at a conditional use permit on 180th and Indigo, just south of town, about 110 feet from city property. City limits, it's Willow Glen property. So I went to the meeting on January 5th and voiced our concerns with that. We also had 4 residents from that area that also complained about that too. The way that the planning commission handles conditional use permits in Marion County is that they kind of put all the uses that the person wants to do into one. So the most intense use was the industrial uses, which we talked about, where they want to manufacture these things, which doesn't make a lot of sense to us. And that's what we voted on to say, yeah, we don't want to see that. And so that actually did not pass through the planning commission, but what we didn't talk about was sort of these auxiliary uses that they had also put into the conditional use permit, where they want to just do like Airbnbs. So there's a whole section there where they had in Plan B, or the second phase of their plan, to do Airbnbs there. And so the county planning commission did recommend they be allowed to do Airbnbs on that piece of property, which is about an acre, give or take. They did put some conditions on those Airbnbs, and wanted to have 3 structures, a maximum of 12 containers, and 1 accessory structure. So they could potentially have 10 to 12 containers there, but they would only be 3 structures in an accessory building. So normally, and we wouldn't like when we run a conditional use permit through the planning commission here, we do one use at a time. So to me, that should be split up into multiple hearings, but it didn't go that way.
Since we didn't know that they were gonna do this type of building stuff there, can we do the same thing that we did last time? Vote on, since it was within a certain mileage of city limits?
I would defer to Andrew. What do you think about that? Andrew?
Were those, I don't have it in front of me, were those uses in the notice
I don't think
or
that
in
they
the, I don't know if they were.
I don't know
either,
if they were,
but I don't remember whether they were in the explanation of the materials of the.
Cause I was,
The county
from what I was
provided that.
told that it was just for building them. I don't know, they were actually gonna put, okay, never mind. I didn't
Yeah,
know
the
they were actually
Airbnb
gonna-
thing kind of.
Yeah, I thought they were just.
They had mentioned it in their presentation materials, which we talked about where we had. But that really wasn't clear that that was kind of phase 2, and that they would, if they were denied the industrial use, they would continue on seeking that use. That wasn't really clear.
Right.
Because to me, like I say, those are 2 kind of separate things.
Exactly.
Our objection still stands with the county commission as it is right now. They're going to meet on the 23rd, which is next Monday. And that's when they'll hear this case before the county commission. And if everything continues as it is, they would still need a supermajority to deny or go against our wish for denial on that.
That's the county versus city. I mean, that's the county.
County commission.
Well, I know, I'm saying
If
that
we-
the reason they need a supermajority is because the city is objecting to it.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, smoke, I think our smoke detectors.
The batteries. from
New
the-
battery.
Speaking of batteries.
So our objection still stands. One of the other things that's coming out of this, they had an off-agenda discussion about this whole process, because we are not the only person that this has affected over the years. We raised objection to this one, but they also had a situation where Peabody had raised objection to the wind farm. And so that was within technically 3 miles, and so they had raised an objection and had gone through a similar thing. So what they're trying to do, or what they're recommending to do, is to make adjustments to their area of notification and influence, and then the ETJ, which is the extraterritorial zoning jurisdiction. So there's more changes to be had with that. I'm not sure what it's going to look like. They put out a memo that said, hey, we'd like to do these changes and just make it clearer, which would be great. I don't know if we're going to object to some of the things in those or not, but we'll see. I think we have an interest in controlling at least a minimum amount of area near our borders, so that we can prevent things from happening and have controlled growth. That's the whole point of extraterritorial jurisdiction. So more to come on that. I will be at the county commission meeting on the 23rd to again voice our objections to this industrial use, and I think for the whole conditional use permit. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, moving on to that. 101 South Main, that property owner has done some work required by our code action. We think that the masonry work is acceptable, so that, if we make that determination, Ben and I are going to kind of look at that tomorrow. We'll pull the barricades off. So those will be off the street finally. What we're interested in finding out is that the roof repairs were made correctly. And so we had Mahaney come out and do another run through of that, and we're waiting on that report to get back. We do know that there's some issues still with the fascia there, that was not corrected. That would really need to see done before it would pass inspection. So we're still sort of in this area where we're trying to figure out if what has been done meets the minimum requirements. So if not, we can take action to complete that work and then charge it back to the building owner. So the saga continues with this, but I think we're getting a lot closer. They at least took some action to make those repairs. So
Would there be a step in between where you'd say this action isn't appropriate? You have time to make more changes or?
I think we'd have some latitude to do that
Mhm.
before we stepped in and just did it. Central Kansas Center for Entrepreneurship dedication. That was a great event last Friday, and thanks you guys for attending, and do appreciate that happening. Lou gave some comments there I thought were very, very well said. And we had county commissioners there, state representatives, state senators, federal representatives. It was a nice event. And so they've begun their regular office hours this week. And so they're currently looking for a new director. Stacy Jansen had stepped away from that. So President Jansen is kind of serving as interim until they can fill that position. But I thought the event went really well. I don't know if you had anything to add about that, Lou.
No, I think again, I was very impressed with the businesses that were represented, in particular the student businesses. And so the neck pillows, there was a group that had a protein or whey or some diet athlete food fuel, if you will, different food. It was delicious. And there was also the power washing operation. So, just really impressed with the not only the businesses, but the students that were operating them, pretty impressive group of people. So, and of course, Hillsboro was well represented with our current and seasoned entrepreneurs. And so I really appreciate it. And again, it was well attended. It was a lot of fun. So.
Health insurance savings reports there for you. This is for halfway through the plan year. We're at $36,980.46 in premium that would have otherwise gone to Blue Cross and Blue Shield and paid for whatever they use it for. So our reserve fund right now is sitting at $112,386.36. And so we're going to adjust that adjustment of what we put in there starting in February. We moved the strategic plan update and the end of year kind of stuff there to next meeting. I know we talked about having it this meeting, but kind of ran out of time with putting together the land bank stuff, and then a couple other things came in. So we're going to move that over and we're going to have that conversation a little later. Had the KPP bill there for you. The year-end treasurer's report there. You also had a copy of that. Insurance agent RFQs. We had 3 of those come back in, and we're going to start hopefully doing interviews with those guys at the end of January. Still have 5 open positions. We are going to be doing some interviews for the golf position on Thursday. I put the electric position on Indeed, and I had like 15 applicants in a day and a half, but all of them were from out of state. So I'm not sure how that's going to work. So yeah, that was that. But if you know anybody who's interested, please let us know, because we are actively recruiting people to come. And then I'm going to be out of the office the 25th through the 27th. So that is all I had, sir.
Any questions for Mr. Stiles? All right, hearing none, this will be our second and final opportunity for public comment. Is there anybody from the public that would like to address the council? Okay, I don't hear anybody or see anybody that you don't have anybody unmuted. Okay, so we'll move on in council comments. Councilman By.
I don't have anything. Just looking forward next Wednesday for the League of Municipalities Conference in Topeka. So
Yeah, day at the Capitol.
So should be a good time.
Yep.
Had a couple of things, the people that live where that guy wanted to build boxes, do they have anything against the houses being there? I mean,
The Airbnbs.
yeah,
I haven't heard anything specifically come back from them. I know, Garvey Schmidt, who lives down in Willow Glen, has sent commissioners another letter. But I think that was more or less regarding the industrial.
Industrial
use.
park, okay. And then I did have somebody wasn't happy that we were gonna give city money to the senior center. I think it might be a good idea if they could let the public know just exactly how much they do.
Oh, yeah.
I just think that'd be a good idea because I can understand where they're coming from, where they didn't want tax money to go to an independent place, but I think it's important that they keep going. So it might be nice if people in town knew exactly how much they did. That's all I have. So
Okay, thank you. Councilman Lowen,
No comments.
Councilman Greers.
No comments tonight.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other business that needs to come before the council? Hearing or seeing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
What's the score?